Hello and welcome. Blitzkrieg 1939 Guderian is the first game of the series about three German corpses that were the spearhead of the Wehrmacht in the Polish campaign 1939. Some historians are calling them armored corpses, but none of them was called like that in the original German army. 19th Corps, which is the subject of this game, operated on the northern flank of the German army, and it made their way through the Pomerania in the first days of war, then moved through the eastern Prussia, attacked Polish northern flank, and finally made their way to the Brześć fortress when they finished their operations with completely encircling Polish army from the north. This game covers some of the most important clashes that 19th Corps participated in, and it was released in the battles of the World War II system. It is probably the oldest Polish system ever. It started in the early 90s, and since the beginning it was battalion company scale. Also, it is probably the most complex Polish system, and it is not the easiest system to learn, with some unique features that I will probably cover partially in this material. So, let's start about the game itself. What do we have here? Here we have a scenario book. Here we have a system rule book. As you can see, it's pretty big. Well, it is important to mention that I have a Polish edition of this game. It was released in English as well. So you can see it has 44 pages of rules with a couple of tables and a lot of rules, but to make things easier, only a part of these rules are actually used in these games, because a lot of rules here are not used in this particular game, especially rules about sea units, most of rules about air units, about landing operations, both sea landings and air landings, etc., etc. So only a part of these units of the rules are used in this game. And next we have a couple of boards of the different size. Some of them are quite small, like here, for example, a board for the Battle of Wisna. Some are medium-sized, like, let me find this one. Oh, here it is. Nope, this one is not. So yeah, these two are making one big board, so we will cover them later. Here we have a board for the Battle of Różan, which is medium size. Here we have a board for the Battle of Chojnice, which is rather small. This is the board for the Battle of Brześć, not very big as well. And finally, this is two parts board for the biggest battle of this game, a battle in Tucholskie Woods. This is its east half, and this is its west half. As you can see, there is a lot of woods here. Well, the name Tucholskie Woods says everything. And finally, we have counters. There is a slightly more Polish counters than German counters, because, well, Germans faced different Polish groups, while majority of their forces was the same in these battles. And the counters are thick. It was one of these games where TIS started to use their thick counters, and I think it was a good idea. These counters are definitely better when it comes to the quality and the size than the older ones. They are gloss. It was the time when TIS still used gloss counters, and some years ago they changed it and they decided for the matte counters, but these are girls, but I think they are still quite good. You can see the icons and the graphics on the counters are quite nice as well. And when it comes to the companies, you can tell the difference by this dark strap on the counter. When there is a strap on the counter, this means that this is a company, and if there is no strap, this is usually a battalion. Well, sometimes it is, for example, a regiment here, but take care that this is a cavalry regiment. So this might be a regiment per name, but when it comes to the size, it was more a battalion. And when it comes to the equipment, or should I say mechanized stuff, we have black silhouettes with a couple of factors that are special for the armored and armored units, artillery units, etc. So I think the counters are pretty good, they are solid, I use them a lot and found no problems with them when it comes to their quality. None of them suffered any damage during my numerous games, so I think they are fine. Well, you can tell about more of them if you will look any video about me playing games of these scenarios from this game, because I recorded, I think, all the scenarios from this game at my YouTube channel. Okay, so now we have components covered, and now let's talk about scenarios. We have a lot of them. First, Chojnice. Chojnice was one of the first clashes of the Polish 1939 campaign. It wasn't a very big battle or something like that, but it was quite important battle, or at last battle which is easy to remember due to the fact that during this battle Polish cavalry made their charge near the village of Krojanty, and it was surely the first cavalry charge during the World War II and one of the last cavalry charges in the history of the Polish army. This battle was also famous because of the German armored train that entered Poland in secret, and it reached the railroad station Nowa America here, where it was surrounded by Poles and almost completely destroyed, but the other German units managed to save it. Next, we have a battle of Bory Tucholskie. This is the biggest battle of this game. It has a pretty long board where Germans are making their way from the Germany to the Eastern Prussia, but they have to cross Pomerania, and the biggest problem on their way is this massive woods here. Luckily for them, Polish divisions that here, there were two Polish divisions, 9 and 27, were scattered on the big space, usually not in with even battalions, but with companies. So when German armored divisions attacked there, they met a little of resistance. The terrain somehow was the biggest threat for them than some of the Polish units, and they made their way through the Pomerania in very short time. Next, we have a Battle of Ruzhan, which is separated into two different scenarios. Where do I have a Battle of Ruzhan? Let me find it. Is here. Ruzhan was the old Tsarist fortress that was near the river of Narew. And there was a pretty important bridge here that Poles have to defend or probably wanted to destroy, but even so they failed. The success of Germans was limited. Despite being outnumbered, Poles managed to to inflict some significant losses to the German units with the use of the old Russian forts there. But the real problem was that the Polish plan included a counterattack on the other side of the river. And Polish units were definitely too weak to fight against the German armored divisions, and they failed to do so. and because of that Germans have open way for the further battles. Next we have a Battle of Wisna. The smallest battle in this game, probably, but one of the most important, especially when it comes to the national memory. A Battle of Wisna is usually called the Polish Thermopylae. About 800 Polish soldiers in the several bunkers faced about 40,000 of German soldiers, and despite such an odds, Poles managed to defend their positions for the couple of days, losing most of their strength, but even so, somehow they managed to slow down German advance a bit. And now when you take a look on the board, you can tell how it was possible. Well, the terrain is really rough here. There is a lot of marsh, and with only a few of the Polish fortified positions, it was possible to put a stiff defense against German armored units. And finally, Brest. It is the last battle of this game. Brest became an important fortress during the World War II two times. First in the 1939, where Guderian tanks reached the fortress. Poles doesn't have enough units to hold all the fortifications of the fortress, and they used some of the outdated French Renault 17 tanks to block some ways, but even so they managed to fight several days before they were eventually beaten. And for the second time Brest became famous in the 1941, where it was attacked by Germans and it was defended by Soviets. And Soviets made a big legend about their defense of Brest, although they weren't defending as long as Poles in the 1939. Now, as for these battles, some of them are pretty straightforward, like for example Brest or Wisna. The boards themselves determine everything and there is not much space to do something else. But battles like Chojnice gives you some space for maneuvers, and Germans have some options. They might try to attack Polish defense in front or try to surround it and make their way out. The choice is on the German side, because Poles have a limited number of units. The most interesting battle, certainly, is the Battle of the Tucholskie Woods. This is the big battle and the longest battle of the entire game, but both sides have some chances in this battle. Germans, well, they have strength in numbers. They have a lot of tanks here and they are fast, they are deadly, they can attack during their movement and break every Polish position. So Polish player must be ready to sacrifice some of his troops to slow down German advance, and if he will be lucky enough, he might try to slow German advance or even stop Germans in the woods. It is not easy. Judging on my own experience and playthroughs of this scenario, I think the chances are pretty small, but at last I think I managed to do it once. So it is not impossible, although like in every battle in Polish 1939 campaign, Germans have advantage when it comes to the numbers, when it comes to the strength, when it comes to the tactics, when it comes to the firepower, well, literally when it comes to everything. So, I think this battle is probably the most interesting case in this game, but also Rózsa. Where is the board of Rózsa? Where did I put... no, this is not the one. Yeah, this is the one. Because here Germans also have a choice. They might simply try to strike on Rózsa and even capture the bridge, or they might try to move their units through the river of Narew and again try to encircle Polish units that are here in the woods. So again, the choice is yours. Most of these scenarios are pretty short. I believe they can take an hour, maybe two. Well, two when it comes to this Tucholskie Woods scenario. This is definitely a longer scenario and it might take 2 or maybe even 3 hours, but no more. These are not the biggest biggest scenarios, and this system contains some of the big games with big boards and a lot of units and long scenarios. But this game was one of the first games of this system that turned out to focus on this medium or smaller scale battles. There aren't many games about Polish 1939 campaigns, and most of them focuses on the entire campaign. And I think there aren't many games about the certain battles. And this game gives you an opportunity to play a couple of battles of the same unit, 19 Corps, fighting against several Polish groups. You can tell what was the difference between armies of both sides on the tactical scale, and you can tell how it was possible for Germans to break through every Polish line of defense that easy and that quickly. So, like I said, this is not the easiest game I played, because the system is quite old, and something that you might find probably the most original but also, well, complicated for some people is the fact that units have no strength on their counters. Let me show you. On the regular units we have only their movement allowance, which is here. When it comes to the other units like tanks or artillery, we have their factors for the fight against other armored and non-armored units. But when it comes to the all units, they have their strength in their tables. So when they suffer some losses, you have to subtract them and mark them in the tables. Of course, all the tables can be found on the Board Game Geeks site on this handy 2 pages stuff, and you can print them and you will get all of them together. I think it is better than to use to copy each particular page of the scenario book. But like I said, this is not something that you can find very often in the games, but this system is still holding to this rule, and well, it has its pros and cons. The pros are that somehow you can show the difference between units that are not very strong but that can withstand much longer, and the units that are quite strong but they are also pretty fragile. For example, you can tell about difference between here infantry battalion that has 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2 and 1, and here you have armored battalion that has 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So sorry, company. So you can tell that armored company is definitely stronger than this infantry battalion, but still this infantry battalion might suffer some losses and lose less strength points than the armored company. Okay, so that's when it comes to this game. Like I said, it was first game of the series. When you are watching this video, the second part I think was already released, and I believe that third planet part is about to be released in the year or two. So we will have a trilogy about all 3 major German armored mechanized groups that fought in the Polish campaign 1939. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching and see you next time.